Welcome back to my studio. So I've got a fair bit done on this piece since the last time I was with you working on it. I'm going to just start right in today after the intro with a time lapse to bring you up to date on this. And then I'll get into where I see this piece going and what I need to do next. Now, when you're watching the time lapse, the thing that you want to just consider in terms of the way I'm painting this is that whole idea is this is almost like a mosaic. I'm putting down one stroke of color at a time next to another stroke. So there's not any blending like I'd had in the stained glass piece, the previous piece. Just one stroke of color next to the other and gradually taking this piece to finish. So let's get to the time lapse. So I'm happy with how this piece is coming so far. The question is, what do I need to do next? Now, what I really need to do is resolve these reflections down in the lower area. It's still very, very dark, and it's still just fairly crudely suggested. But I also have a decision to make here, similar to the piece that I did in Trapper's Trail, where I had the lily pads floating on top of the surface. Here I have a number of fallen leaves floating on top of the surface of the pond. And I just know from experience from doing that Trapper's Trail piece that the lily pads breaking up the reflections of the water were really effective, and people commented on them, and I really liked them too. So I'm going to go in and put the leaf shapes. So some of the leaves are actually going to be from the foreground foliage in front, just kind of still up on trees, and some of them are going to be laying on the water. And then once I've kind of done that, then it's a matter of resolving these trees, because these are going to be birch trees, some of them. So that's what I'm going to do next. So we'll go back to the time lapse and you can follow along. this is probably a pretty good place to end today's vlog. The reflections are mostly resolved, but I won't be able to make that final determination until I put the birch trees in. When I put the birch trees in, that's really going to change how everything else on here appears. That whole idea of relativity. So some of these becoming light shapes, again, it's really going to alter how things look. So I don't want to go too crazy trying to finalize all the reflections, because how we see them is going to change when I put the birch trees in. So the reflections, excuse me, the reflections might in fact almost be done, because again, I just want to suggest the idea of the reflections. I don't want to create like a really high realism, mirror perfect version of the reflections. But once I put the birch trees in, then I'll be able to see, does that effectively carry that off, or do I need to do a little more? And do I need to lighten or darken them? Maybe increase some of the bright colors. We don't really see any of these bright yellows down in here, so I might have to do that, and maybe I can do that just over some of these floating leaves. But we'll have to wait until I've got the other part of the painting, which the main part is the birch is resolved, until I make those decisions. So I hope you found this helpful and entertaining. As always, if you have, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Please share this with your other artist friends or anyone else who has an interest in art. And I welcome your comments and questions. I'm Tim Packer, and I thank you for your time.